My Talk Memphis, Ken, Bev, and Andrew at 8:20 on your Monday morning, and we're talking with Lonnie Soury. He's an advisor to Arkansas Take Action. We're talking about the West Memphis 3, and of course, this case goes all the way back to May of 1993, horrific murders of 3 children in West Memphis, Arkansas. And as Lonnie was just talking about in our last segment, there was not a whole lot of evidence when these 3 were convicted. There's been even more doubt about the evidence that has come out, including some DNA that doesn't even point to the 3 men that are in jail for this. One of them, Damien Echols, on death row for this. And Lonnie is joining us. And before we take your phone calls at 683-0989, yes, if you have some questions, you can talk directly to Lonnie at 683-0989. Lonnie, wanted to give you a chance to talk about the tip line that you guys have set up.
Great, yeah. One thing I did want to make, the Arkansas Supreme Court has voted unanimously to reopen the case, and a hearing will take place on December 5th, where all new evidence of their innocence, whether recently discovered or presented at the original trial, include their alibis and every other evidence, all other evidence, will be introduced to a judge, Judge David Laser, and we are hopeful. We are hopeful that finally we'll have our day in court. We have a new tip line, and evidence, it's manned by a homicide detective, a retired homicide detective, and the number is 501-256-1775. That's 501-256-1775. This is the way the police get new evidence and solve crimes, and we'd like anybody that might know anything about the case. Most people don't realize, not most people, but many people that may have witnessed something strange that day or had seen the children don't realize that their information is quite important, and new witnesses have come forward. Often what they say is, how come they didn't come forward 17 years ago? Well, the police, nobody asked them, and there was very little investigation done. It was really a rush to judgment, and Damien was identified and a pattern put in place to get a conviction. So now it's incumbent upon us and the defense to look for all information out there and present it at hearings and hopefully get this case overturned. So it also, with every wrongful conviction, I must say, the perpetrator is still in our community. So if you put the wrong man in prison, that means the right man or the right woman is out there.
Lonnie, a lot of this information that the Arkansas Supreme Court is looking at now to reopen the case, this is really new evidence. The DNA test wasn't really available at the time of the crime. So a lot of the DNA results are fairly new, like within the past couple of months, correct?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, certainly within the past couple of years, the law has changed in Arkansas and across the country, including Tennessee, where DNA is now suggested to be tested. Sometimes it's fought, but if there's new DNA evidence there, we just went through a period of testing a tremendous amount of material at the crime scene, from pieces of wood to the children's clothes, and nothing found, no DNA links Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, or Jesse Miskelly to the crime scene. Other DNA was found. Again, I mentioned that the DNA linking one of the stepfathers to the crime and the knot used to tie up one of the boys, not even his own son, was found, and other evidence. We also have new forensic evidence. The country's leading pathologists have reviewed this case, and the theory that the children were murdered with a knife and were mutilated is completely wrong. Unfortunately, these children were drowned and beaten, and their wounds, which were horrific at the time and certainly created a panic, were caused post-mortem by animals, likely snapping turtles and other animals in the water. We also have incredible jury misconduct, where Jesse Miskelly's false confession was introduced into the jury room by the jury foreman, which was illegal and unconstitutional. So the court says, Jesus, it's time to reopen this case, and all the new evidence, new forensic, new witnesses, new DNA evidence, as well as their original alibis. I mean, the idea that these 3 boys who didn't drive cars, who had no means, no motive or opportunity could have done this is incomprehensible. I mean, anybody that buried these 3 little children in the water would have been completely covered with mud, and water would have obviously had blood.
Lonnie, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
I am troubled by the fact that in all of this, the celebrity that this case has gained had lost sight of the children. And I listened to much of what you had to say, but my question is, in all of this, in all of the celebrity and all of what you're saying, how do you know they didn't do it?
Well, when you look at wrongful conviction cases and cases like this, you have to go on what the evidence was. You know, you're not there. You look at what's reasonable, what's important. Look at the alibis, and you realize very quickly it doesn't take a rocket science. Let me address the 3 children, though. You know, it's very.
Well, Lonnie, I'm going to kind of jump in here. Do
Okay.
it kind of quickly because we got a number of people on the line that I'm sure want to ask you some questions.
Well, certainly we certainly everybody feels for this horrible murder and the 3 children. The point is, let's find the people that did it, and a proper investigation, proper research, proper investigative tools, had they been used at the time, would have resulted likely in the right people being caught.
Lonnie Soury is our guest here on Talk Memphis. He's an advisor to Arkansas Take Action. We promised to give you a chance to ask him questions directly, and so go to the phones. Nathan, welcome to Talk Memphis. You're on with Lonnie Soury.
Hi.
And see if we can.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Nathan, with your question.
Yeah, when the murders happened back in '93, I lived in West Memphis down on 18th Street, right down the street from it. I was like 11 years old, and we all played out in Robin Hood Hills anyway. But my question was, with this new evidence on Terry Hobbs, with the hair found in the ligature used to tie up one of the boys, and then the hair found near a tree stump of his friend David Jacoby that he was supposedly with that night looking for the boys, is that going to be enough to do anything to them, or are they going to do anything with that?
Well, the real issue is new evidence. New evidence now would a juror, based on all this new evidence, would a juror rule to acquit Damian Eccles? That's the standard. As far as so that will be entered into the hearing and will be entered into the judge's consideration. Whether it results in an over.
Did we lose him?
We just lost him. A little bit of a technical difficulty.
Yeah. We'll
get him back.